Zechariah chapter 12 of the King James Version, KJV, contains a prophetic vision that emphasizes God's intervention on behalf of Jerusalem, the restoration of his people, and the outpouring of divine grace. The chapter's language is deeply poetic and rich with imagery, reflecting themes of divine sovereignty, human repentance, and eschatological hope. Verse-by-verse commentary. 1 Verse 1, The burden of the word of the Lord for Israel, saith the Lord, which stretcheth forth the heavens, and layeth the foundation of the earth, and formeth the spirit of man within him. This verse sets the tone, emphasizing God's authority and creative power. By invoking his role as creator, the prophecy underscores that the coming events are orchestrated by the one who controls all existence. The term burden suggests a weighty and solemn message for Israel. 2 Verses 2-3, Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, and in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. Jerusalem becomes a central figure in God's eschatological plan. The cup of trembling symbolizes a divine judgment that intoxicates and destabilizes surrounding nations. The burdensome stone metaphor highlights how attempts to harm Jerusalem will lead to ruin for those who try. 3 Verses 4-5, In that day, saith the Lord, I will smite every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness. Here, God's intervention is vividly described, with images of confusion and chaos among Israel's enemies. This reflects divine protection, as even the mightiest military forces are rendered ineffective. Judah's leaders recognize that God is their strength. 4 Verses 6-9, In that day will I make the governors of Judah like an hearth of fire among the wood. God empowers the leaders of Judah to act decisively, likened to a consuming fire. This passage foretells victory and deliverance for the people of Jerusalem, not through their own power but through divine aid. The Lord himself defends Jerusalem, ensuring its survival against all odds. 5 Verse 10, And I will pour upon the house of David, and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the spirit of grace and of supplications. This verse is a pivotal point, highlighting God's promise to bring spiritual renewal. The spirit of grace and supplications signifies a heartfelt repentance and turning to God. The prophecy foreshadows a profound mourning for him whom they have pierced, interpreted by Christians as a messianic reference to Jesus Christ, connecting this passage to the New Testament. 6 Verses 11-14, In that day shall there be a great mourning in Jerusalem. The chapter concludes with a depiction of communal and individual mourning. The mourning of Hadad-Rimmon in the valley of Megiddon recalls past tragedies, while the distinctiveness of family groups mourning separately suggests a deeply personal acknowledgement of sin and loss. Theological themes. 1 Divine sovereignty. The chapter portrays God as the supreme orchestrator of events. His ability to manipulate creation, from the heavens to the spirit of man, emphasizes his authority over history and nations. 2 Judgment and deliverance. The dual themes of judgment upon Israel's enemies and deliverance for Jerusalem highlight God's commitment to his covenant people. 3 Repentance and grace. The outpouring of the Spirit of grace indicates that restoration is not merely physical but spiritual, requiring a deep transformation of the heart. 4 Messianic foreshadowing. Verse 10's reference to him whom they have pierced is seen as a prophecy of Christ, linking Zechariah to the broader messianic expectations fulfilled in the New Testament. Conclusion. Zechariah 12 is a powerful and hopeful chapter that combines vivid imagery with profound theological truths. It calls readers to recognize God's ultimate authority, his protective care for his people, and the necessity of spiritual renewal. The chapter resonates across both Jewish and Christian traditions, with its eschatological promises and messianic undertones offering assurance of God's faithfulness and the ultimate triumph of his purposes.